What if I told you that a tiny, pretty much unknown research lab in China just released an AI, and it was so powerful that it sent shockwaves through the entire tech world? We're talking about rattling the biggest names in the business and, in just a few days, triggering a trillion-dollar market crash. Well, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. It's exactly what just happened.
Okay, let's dive right in, because before we get to the how, you really have to get your head around the sheer scale of this thing. The financial impact is what blew this story wide open. So, picture this, January 27th, 2025, a staggering $1 trillion, just gone, wiped clean off the US tech index, an almost unbelievable number, and it was all because of a single piece of software that had launched only a week before.
And right at the heart of this financial earthquake was NVIDIA. You know, the company that makes the chips that basically power the entire AI world. Well, their value dropped by $589 billion in one day. Just to put that in perspective for you, that is the biggest single-day loss for any company in the history of the stock market, period.
So this leads us to the big question, right? What on earth could cause a market reaction this massive, this extreme? Was it a new invention? A massive market failure? What was it?
Well, the answer turned out to be an AI chatbot called DeepSeek R1. And the wild part is, it didn't come from Google or Meta or even one of the big Chinese tech giants. Nope, it came from this small, independent lab that honestly almost nobody had ever heard of before.
And the speed of this thing was just breathtaking. I mean, look at this timeline. It launches on January 20th. 2 days later, just 48 hours, it's the #1 app in the entire US, even beating ChatGPT. And then, just 5 days after that, the markets are in an absolute freefall. It was a completely meteoric rise.
Okay, so we've covered the what, this massive disruption. Now let's get into the who. Because believe me, the story of the people who created DeepSeek is just as incredible as the tech itself.
So, first, you have to understand the thinking in Silicon Valley at the time. This quote from Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, pretty much sums it up perfectly. The message was loud and clear. Building these giant AI models, the engines behind tools like ChatGPT, was a game for billionaires and huge corporations only. He basically said it was hopeless for anyone else to even bother trying.
But then, you see this. While OpenAI was spending billions, DeepSeek was reportedly built for just $5.6 million. While the big guys have thousands of employees, DeepSeek did it with a core team of only 200 people. I mean, this is a classic David versus Goliath story, just playing out with code and algorithms.
And their whole approach was just different. The founder, a super reclusive hedge fund manager who started this whole thing as a side project, more out of scientific curiosity than for making money. The team was almost entirely made up of PhD students, with 95% of them under 30. And this is crucial, it was all self-funded. No money from China's tech giants like Alibaba or Baidu. They were complete outsiders.
So, how in the world did they do it? What was the secret sauce that let this tiny team run circles around the world's biggest tech companies? Well, the answer is in how they built the AI to think.
They basically perfected a process called chain of thought. So instead of the AI just spitting out the first answer it comes up with, this model actually reasons its way through a problem. It thinks about different angles, it questions its own logic, and it refines its answer before it ever shows it to you. It's trying to copy the way a real person would logically solve something.
And here is a perfect, simple example of why that matters so much. On the left, an older AI gets asked, which is bigger, 9.111 or 9.9, and it gets it wrong. It just sees that 11 is bigger than 9 and gives the wrong answer. But now look at the DeepSeek response on the right. It literally says, let me think, and then it breaks down the problem correctly, explaining why 9/10 is bigger than 11/100. It actually reasons its way to the correct answer. That's the game changer right there. And what's really amazing, what's so cool about it, is the transparency. The app actually shows you this step-by-step process happening right on your screen. You can literally watch the AI work through the problem, which is a massive leap forward for actually understanding and trusting these things.
But this is where the story takes a really fascinating and kind of contradictory turn, because this revolutionary AI is actually a walking paradox.
On the one hand, it's super heavily censored. If you ask it about politically sensitive stuff like Tiananmen Square or Taiwan, it just shuts down and refuses to answer. But on the other hand, it's radically open. Its source code is public. Anyone can download it, change it, use it however they want. You've already got companies like Microsoft adding it to their Azure cloud platform, and others like Perplexity AI are using the model with the censorship stripped out. So this creates this incredible irony, right? You have the company that's literally called OpenAI, but their system is completely closed and proprietary. Meanwhile, their biggest new rival, an AI that's been vetted by the Chinese government, is actually way more open to the world. It's kind of wild.
So let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just a story about one company. This is a huge shift in the global tech landscape. It's really the start of a whole new kind of AI arms race.
You see, the seeds for this whole revolution were actually planted way back in 2022. That's when the US government banned the export of the most advanced AI chips, the ones made by NVIDIA, to China. The whole idea was to slow down their AI development. Well, this turned into a classic case of unintended consequences. Because China was denied access to the best hardware, the team at DeepSeek had no choice but to get creative with the software. They were basically forced to build an AI model that was so hyper-efficient it could run on older, less powerful chips. They couldn't outspend the problem, so they had to outsmart it. And that brings us full circle. That's exactly why NVIDIA's stock took that historic nosedive. DeepSeek's success single-handedly challenged the core belief of the entire industry, the idea that the only way to get better AI was to buy more powerful, more expensive hardware. DeepSeek just proved to the whole world that there was another way.
Which leaves us with this one final massive question. In the race to try and stop China's AI ambitions, did the United States accidentally force an innovation that has now made its biggest competitor smarter, more efficient, and ultimately way, way stronger?